Hey everyone, it's me Gavin Vengeance and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over a very brief guide of Challenge 1 for the Hypostatic Symphony event that's currently going on in Genshin Impact. What I'm going to be covering in these guides is going to be how to achieve roughly about 3,000 points per challenge, which will give us a total of 21,000 points and enable us to achieve every single reward from this event. However, keep in mind that some of the points made in this video will vary from account to account just based upon which characters you do have available, your equipment, constellations, things like that. With that out of the way, what you're seeing on screen right now is just a very brief breakdown of each of my characters, their abilities, their stats, their equipment, all of that good stuff. That way you have something to kind of compare with your own setups, and you can go based off of what I'm showing you right now. That way you know roughly what you need to be able to take down this challenge. So the first thing to mention about this event is that it will allow you to set a difficulty for the challenge that you're currently taking on. That difficulty will determine the boss's attack patterns and abilities that they have at their disposal. Also, it will determine your score multiplier, which will help you get that 3,000 point minimum per challenge that we will require to obtain all rewards. The next thing we need to cover are variations, and these are just pretty much a list of restrictions and buffs and stuff that you're going to be able to apply to the boss to make the fight just that much more difficult. However, again, we will need to set these in order to achieve 3,000 points. So this is just a rough guideline. However, feel free to adjust these based upon what works best for your party makeup. Now, a very important thing that I should mention here is upon entering the challenge area, your characters will be fully healed as well as receive a full elemental burst, which is going to significantly help you in the beginning portions of this fight. So I would highly recommend waiting for that to actually fill up before commencing. So unlike the other electro-hypostasis fight that you may have encountered so far, this one's a little bit different as it is on the expert difficulty. The first thing you will probably notice is that there are a couple of ads placed around the outer edge of the arena. You do want to pay attention to them. I don't really try to damage them or anything throughout this run. You will see that they do get clipped by a couple of attacks that I do, but for the most part I kind of ignore them. And one thing I will say is that you want to mind your proximity to them, because if they get hit by any electrical attack, they will start pulsing out an electricity field around themselves. And if you end up following the exact same variation settings that I did, you will notice that your movement is definitely slowed here, as that's one of the things that we did set, and you will really have to mind your amount of time that you're sprinting in this fight. So again, keep an eye on your stamina gauge and really only sprint when necessary to dodge certain attacks. Now the next attack coming up I like to refer to as the laser attack, and this is probably going to be the best opportunity we're going to have throughout the fight to deal the most amount of damage to the pure electro-hypostasis. This is generally where I pop a lot of my elemental burst attacks. However, I will be a little bit more cautious towards the end of the fight just because you may need to save one or two for that final phase. But in general, this is going to be the place where you want to unload the most damage as you can. Just be wary whenever you see that electricity field kind of fade away a little bit. You're going to want to get ready to dodge out so that way you don't get crushed. So again, if you're following the variations that I set in this video, you're also going to really want to try to minimize the amount of damage your characters are taking. So for this next attack, what I recommend doing is positioning yourself opposite of it, while also being mindful of the ads around the edge, and just kind of bobbing and weaving back and forth. That way it's really easy for you to dodge these without having to sprint too much. And as this attack ends, it'll be another great opportunity for you to kind of sprint in a little bit, get in a couple of hits, maybe pop an elemental burst if you have Zhongli's meteor still up. But another great opportunity again for you to dish out some damage. Also at the end of this combo, when the enemy slaps the ground, is another great opportunity, and it'll be vulnerable for quite some time, so I rush in, use a couple of elemental skills here, and it'll also help you get down the boss's health very quickly. So another attack that appeared earlier in the video, and it will appear again, is what I call the drill attack. Now this one, the enemy will turn into like a drill, it'll chase after you. When that animation ends, it'll levitate up into the air, the symbol will appear around it, and it'll start shooting projectiles at you. And with this being the expert mode, that projectile is going to end up being this little orb of lightning, and it does a substantial amount of damage. So I would highly recommend using one of Zhongli's pillars to kind of stand behind, and then you can swap to like Ganyu or some other archer type character that you may have, poke your head out, and also deal damage to it while it's still up in the air. Your last real big opportunity to deal some damage to the hypostasis is when it uses its gate attack. This is where it places a pillar down on the ground, and then other pillars will end up spawning in a circle until that circle closes. Normally the boss is on the outside of this ring, So if you can escape, you can really deal some big damage here while also being able to avoid all of the electricity in the inside of that ring. However, if you do get trapped on the inside, don't fear, you just need to dodge the electricity and also deal some damage if you can, but mainly prioritize taking as little damage as possible. You can also damage the pillars to escape as well, so keep that in mind. So the boss will cycle through these attacks that we just covered for the entirety of the fight, up until about 5% health remaining, in which it will end up disappearing, reappearing in the middle of the arena alongside 6 adds. These adds need to be defeated immediately. If you do not defeat them quickly enough, the boss will revive and potentially ruin your run. This is the point where I try to save a couple of elemental bursts to really help damage these as quickly as possible. You have to use elemental attacks, either pyro or cryo, to deal damage here. And if you can do it successfully, you can definitely get 3,000 points very easily. I really hope this guide helped you guys, and if it does, don't forget to give it a like. Please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next guide. Take care.